Thanks in advance to Febraz and Future Friends Games for the review code. It's safe to say that we're in a golden age for indie games. While there is a lot of trend chasing with all those Vampire Survivor clones, there are special cases where a small team takes a game genre that they love and throws their hat into the ring, with varying levels of success. Back in 2021, Febraz decided to take on the challenge of copying one of the big boys of the industry, the 3D Mario games. The shocking part was that they were pretty damn close as far as quality is concerned. If Axiom Verge was an interesting take on Metroid, and Undertale was a fun take on Earthbound, then Demon Turf was a solid take on Mario 64. And after making some expansions for the game, the team went on to make a bigger and better sequel that I've been following for a while now. And hey, since I got a review code, let's see how it compares to the original. To clarify, this is more of an early impressions video. I've played the first 3 hours of the game, with this video acting more as a rundown on the mechanics and the general quality of the game to see if it's worth the $25 asking price. So with that said, so what is the vibes of these Demon Tides? How does it play and such? Demon Tides changes things up from the previous game, which was a level-by-level experience tied with a hub area like Mario 64, and replaces it with a pseudo-open world where every area is a small 3D platforming level. This game in particular takes heavy cues from Bowser's Fury, that one extra mode added in Mario 3D World, when it was ported over to the Switch. I was a big fan of that mode, and it's good to see that I wasn't alone, since it married the open levels found in Mario Odyssey with the structured levels found in a linear Mario game like 3D World. So Tides is taking cues from the best of the genre and setting some lofty goals for itself, and I think it hit a few of those high notes. Presentation-wise, this game looks fantastic. Demon Turf was a nice-looking game once you looked past its rough edges. The mix-mash of styles worked once you took a moment to appreciate the attempt to mesh everything together. Demon Tides is all 3D, and things look consistent throughout my playtime. Just as an example, the first world of Turf was a desert that didn't leave the best impression of the art style. Meanwhile, the first area of Tides is a bright tropical area that varies between islands, but is still nice looking at a glance. The cutscene animations look a bit stiff, but I'm playing this game for the jumping, not the cinematic narrative, so I'll give that a pass. The game sounds pretty good as well. I haven't sat down with the OST for too long to pin down any standouts, but nothing sounded off. This game is fun to move around in. Just like the first game, you got your jumps that can be built up into a triple jump, a mid-air double jump to reorient, and a hover move to slowly descend, and fun little bits of extra movement that come from comboing all these moves together. The new addition is a wall run, which feels almost expected with these movement-based games, but I still like to see it in newer releases. The wall jump has an extra climbing bit to get up ledges, which feels like a natural inclusion. The big new ability is an air dash that acts as both movement and part of the combat. Mostly because it's just the homing attack from Sonic without the indicator. The previous game went for a Rayman type of feel, but the negative was that combat was a bit of a pace killer. This feels a lot more simplified, but it improves the flow significantly. The snake wheel is back and has been given a massive upgrade since you can use it on both land and sea. The ability has its uses in a few of the main levels, but the big use is to travel at breakneck speeds from one island to another. One of the annoyances with open world games is the commute, so Demon Tides cutting out the filler while still having some form of travel is appreciated. Looking at the levels that I was able to play, I was able to find some good stuff here. One of the concerns was that there wasn't going to be much variety with all the levels being on a bunch of tropical islands, but thankfully that wasn't the case. From what I experienced, a few of the islands had basic platforming with a tropical feel, but then we moved on to an abandoned factory level, a very much active factory level that was pretty big, a broken up location where you have to carry a little guy over to their parent, and a highlight for me was a stormy island that had me bounce up into the sky to find a full-on racetrack. This was just in the first area with 2/3 of the game left to explore, so I'm expecting some wild stuff later on. Navigating these levels are a breeze with the checkpoint flag, a mechanic returning from the last game, with the extra buff of no longer being limited per stage. This is one of the few ideas that makes both of these games a keeper because it acts as a nice safety net for peeps that only want to beat the game as comfortably as possible, and it benefits skilled players who want to learn how to do more risky maneuvers for better mobility. Regardless, if you mess up, you just hold down a button and you'll be teleported right back to the checkpoint that you personally placed down. I mentioned the aesthetics earlier, but one thing that stuck out to me was the subtle vibes from Sega alongside the Mario influences. Specifically, early 3D Sonic games with the homing attack and rail grinding, alongside Jet Set Radio with the energy of turning any environment into a playground for parkour and treating the said environment as a canvas for spray painting. The latter is a pretty fun feature since you can put a decal on any part of the environment, and I was able to get some fun little scenarios where the whole community was messing around. It's fun. There's also the collectibles to find. The stand-in for coins are, well, whatever. But then there are the golden gears for story progress, power-ups to change your Beeb's moveset, which I didn't really use, but whatever. And then there's the one thing I was hunting for, costumes. Any game that lets you drip out your character is special in my book, and the costumes that I found look really good. I was a big fan of this one that looked like Beebs had spray paint on her with like neon colors on. That was legit pretty nice. That said, I have to hold off on glazing since I did find some negatives. The camera in this game is a bit buggy, and got caught on the environment for split seconds at various intervals. This is very annoying in cutscenes, but it's a pain while platforming. And thankfully this was fixed in an early patch, right as I was in the middle of recording, so good on you for that. Hey, while you're in the mood for fixing bugs, you mind looking into the occasional collision oddities since I found myself bouncing off of what should be flat planes while racing on that one track. Yeah. Hopefully that one gets fixed in a future patch. So to answer the main question, I think this is a solid 3D platformer that did well to elevate things past the previous title, and I'm hoping a few indie games takes notes from this one and use it as an excuse to jump off and do wilder things, because more games like Demon Tides are well worth looking into. I was told that this game would last about 30 hours, so I think it justifies the $25 price tag. And also on a side note, the same people are working on that new Bubsy game. The gameplay and the trailers look pretty good, and I have to give props to whoever the main writer of the game is because they actually made Bubsy come off as charming. I'm definitely jumping on that one when I get the chance. So yeah, Demon Tides is a great game. Go buy it. Anyhow, this is Reaper Wren, signing out. Hey, indie devs, if you want more impressions videos like this, send me free stuff. Thanks, bye.